I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live. My mom said to me, you know, sweetheart, one day you should settle down and marry a rich man. And I said, Mom, I am a rich man. For many people, marriage is an essential milestone in life. But in the golden age of Hollywood, there were as many as 26 legendary stars who never once walked down the aisle. And the price they paid for that decision was far too high. Some were blacklisted by studios for refusing to marry. According to the script, some carried forbidden love secrets to the grave, and others had to live their entire lives weaving false stories to hide the truth about themselves. In the end, who were the stars bold enough to sacrifice their careers, their love, and even their lives just to avoid marriage? And what reasons led them to choose such a path? Find out in today's video. Music: Greta Garbo, the bride who vanished before the hour struck. Don't look for me. I won't be there. The short note sharp as a blade was sent by Greta Garbo to John Gilbert just 4 days before their wedding. At the time, St. Monica's Church was already filled with white lies. Every guest seat taken by Hollywood moguls, directors, and powerful producers. But when the church bells rang and all eyes turned toward the entrance, the bride never appeared. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some claimed MGM didn't want their #1 star bound to anyone believing marriage would shatter her silver screen illusion. Others swore Garbo was secretly in love with a woman, and this wedding was nothing but a forced cover-up. Her close friend revealed that Garbo had cried all night before the big day, saying she couldn't live a life controlled by contracts and phony parties. In the 1930s, at the height of her fame, she vanished from film sets and retreated to a small apartment on East 52nd Street in New York. Rumors of a secret affair with Marlene Dietrich exploded across the press, only deepening her image as Hollywood's most mysterious figure. People said she would often walk alone in Central Park, wearing a wide-brimmed hat, her cold gaze enough to make any paparazzo hesitate. Garbo chose lifelong singleness as an act of rebellion against Hollywood's power machine, and that same defiance would echo in the story of James Dean, where love was buried not only by prejudice but also by the cruel interference of family. James Dean, a love strangled and a secret never told. On a golden afternoon in Malibu, James Dean leaned against the wall of a small cafe, a cold espresso in his hand. Just a few streets away, church bells rang for the wedding of Pier Angeli, the woman he had once sworn to marry. Dean didn't walk inside. He simply stood there watching the limousine carry her away, hiding his red-rimmed eyes behind sunglasses. They said it was Angeli's mother who gave the ultimatum. Better you die than marry a godless rebel. The band came with Hollywood's silent backing, as Dean was then rumored to have held secret meetings with powerful producers, trading intimacy for roles. As some tabloids hinted, he was the secret lover of a studio mogul, the kind of rumor that could end a career overnight. The night before the wedding, Dean drove to Angeli's house, but was stopped at the gate by 2 strange men, believed to have been hired by her family to keep the peace. He turned away, drowned himself in whiskey, and told Dennis Hopper, "No one gets to lock up my heart, not even God." A week later, Dean returned to set with hollow eyes, head down, refusing all romantic scenes. Then fate cut in mercilessly. His Porsche 550 Spider crashed on a deadly curve in 1955, making him a legend at just 24. His sudden death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and immediately drew parallels to another actor, Montgomery Clift, whose career and life unraveled after one fateful night. Montgomery Clift darkness. After his own accident, flashbulbs popped as Montgomery Clift descended the steps at Elizabeth Taylor's party on the night of May 12, 1956. He raised a glass to toast his friend while, secretly, stealing a warm glance at a male colleague in the corner, a man whom Hollywood's inner circle whispered had been by Clift's side for months. But as he left the party, a haze of alcohol mixed with quiet sadness took the wheel. His car slammed into a telephone pole, shattering his nose, jaw, and the smile that had once made the world swoon. Elizabeth Taylor was the first to reach him, pulling him from the wreck. But his gemstone face was forever changed. Clift had long feared exposure of his homosexuality. Once warned by a studio boss, "If you want to keep leading roles, you'll need a wedding." The accident only deepened his belief that he was no longer whole enough to love or marry anyone. He canceled a secret wedding plan with his lover, cut off contact, and withdrew into the shadows. In the years that followed, Clift lived in a small New York apartment, often smoking by the window until morning, refusing all invitations to lavish parties. The solitary roles he played on screen became mere reflections of a heart long frozen. But if Clift locked himself away out of fear, Anime Wong had her heart locked away by a cold law before love could even begin. Music: Anime Wong, the Hollywood star, forbidden to marry. On a spring morning in 1933, the front page of the San Francisco Examiner screamed, "Anime Wong secretly engaged to white director." The news spread like wildfire, and fans eagerly awaited the wedding of Hollywood's first Asian-American screen queen. But just 3 weeks later, Wong appeared before cameras with a strained smile, uttering a sentence that stunned the room. "I could marry the man I love, dozens of times, but only on screen." The reason wasn't a change of heart, but a wall of cold law. California banned interracial marriage. With almond-shaped eyes and golden skin, Wang was forbidden from marrying most of her white male colleagues. Asian men in the industry were as rare as gold, and vicious rumors even paired her with famous actresses, using it as ammunition to attack her. The director was forced to withdraw after studio threats to cancel his contract and cut funding. Wang cried through the night in her Los Angeles apartment, draining a bottle of whiskey as she stared at the hazy city through the fog. The public saw only a strong icon fighting racism, but few knew that after each speech, she returned to an empty room and sat in silence for hours. Wang's love died because of law and power, but at least it was allowed to exist in secret. For the next figure, even secrecy became a prison one, where he was both inmate and jailer. Ramon Navarro, the Latin heartthrob whose death unlocked a secret. At the 1925 premiere of Ben-Hur, Ramon Navarro stepped out of a gleaming black limousine in a tailored tuxedo, his smile enough to make the crowd gasp. The press hailed him as the new Rudolph Valentino, and everyone believed it was only a matter of time before he married a dazzling actress. But behind those dreamy eyes was a vow he never broke. Born into a strict Catholic family in Mexico, Navarro once swore to his mother he would never marry unless he truly loved, to the point of life and death. And in his lifetime, he never found a woman who made him break that promise. Friends said he kept a locked drawer containing love letters with no address or recipient, as if written to someone who never came. On October 31, 1968, Hollywood was shaken when Noah was murdered in his Laurel Canyon home. Police found shredded diaries, parts of which hinted at a mysterious romance that never came to be. His death left a haunting question. Was that secret the real reason he chose lifelong celibacy? And if Navarro took his secret to the grave, Tab Hunter lived his entire life inside a fake script written by Hollywood itself. Music. Tab Hunter, the man forced to live a lifetime in a fake script. A poster of Tab Hunter in the mid-1950s was enough to sell out theaters. He rode horses like a cowboy, sang like a charming crooner, and starred in romances as convincingly as in action films. But the real Hunter's life was a movie never shown. In 1950, he was arrested in a police raid on a gay bar in Los Angeles. If the news had leaked, his career would have been over. Warner Brothers swiftly crafted staged romances with leading actresses to turn him into the perfect male heartthrob for magazine covers. Hunter knew that entering any marriage, real or fake, would cause his wall of secrecy to crumble. Throughout his golden contract with Warner Brothers, he wore the perfect mask, smiled for cameras, and dodged every question about his personal life. It wasn't until the release of his memoir, Tab Hunter, Confidential, that the public learned the love of his life was Anthony Perkins, the star of Psycho. But if Hunter accepted living behind a curtain, Dirk Bogarde chose to write a love story that lasted over 40 years in absolute silence. Dirk Bogarde, a secret love spanning for decades. In one interview, when asked why he never married, Dirk Bogarde simply smirked. "I have everything I need." Few knew that everything meant Anthony Forwood, co-star, manager, and life partner for more than 40 years. From the 1950s to the 1970s, coming out as gay in Britain meant career suicide and social exile. Bogarde chose total silence, referring to Forwood only as his closest friend. Even in his memoirs, they lived together from a small house in France to a quiet estate in England, far from the noise of Hollywood parties. Only through shared photographs and exchanged glances could Sharpied fans guess the truth. When Forwood died of cancer, Bogarde kept every memory locked away, never once making a public confession. But not everyone chose silence. Salmano stepped into the light and paid with his life. Music. Salmo, the doomed star who was murdered. The bright lights on the set of Rebel Without a Cause in 1955 turned Salmino into a yo.